Hello guys, so Zaz, how exactly would one build a mono Andor team? Of course, I'm going to do two versions, one where I talk with legends and one when I talk without. The first thing you do need to know is that Andor has three legends, a striker, a really good midliner, and Shu. I say Shu because, even when I'm going to talk to you about the legend build, he's going to be kind of optional. So let's get started. What would one run in an Andor frontline? So it's going to be something very simple. The first thing is, since everyone has gone on the craze of the Andor critical damage stones, you're going to be running an Elaine in the center front. On the left side, you're usually going to be running Renee, if I can find her to show her. She should be somewhere down here. And then you're going to be running your striker. Now, the striker, depending on which build, if you're doing the legend build, you're just going to be running William. If you're not, you're going to be running Char. That is the only difference. Both of them are great strikers. William, with change it to Will of Metatron, makes one of the most broken Williams I've ever seen. Or Char can also be pretty cool, especially for COD. So they're both great strikers. Those are the only two strikers I'm really gonna advise for the Andor section. I can't even name another one. That's to tell you how often I see them. Now for midline, this is the one part where Andor has a serious problem. It only has one good midline player that's not a legend, and of course, we all know who I'm talking about. I'm talking about Victoria. Why? It's kind of self-explanatory. Just look at this beautiful reflex buff, 50%, max hype and attack power for critical hit, who really pairs well if you're doing anything that affects hype too. It increases the attack power on the line, decrease incoming damage, and increase critical rate and attack power. All of it is pretty cool. And an active steal with reflex buff and even more decreased damage. If I was running something that could also run Andor, I'm pretty sure I would be running her too, and this is one of the reasons why she's considered part of the meta. She could also be used as an ace if you decide to give up on the reflex game, because she does give a 25% counterattack resistance, defense, and recovery, who's even not that bad. So she's also a must-have with Elaine and Renee, and then for the center mids, again, if for any reason you have a Metatron or any good center mid legend, I would say run that and make it the only exception to your team, because it's again going to be very weak running the Andor version. But if you want to run the Andor version, the one you're going to be running is actually going to be Leah. The reason you do this is very simple. It's because whenever she's attacked, she's going to recover 35% life, and she has a front pass. But she also does come with decreased action speed and reflex, and increased team's action speed with a pass. So overall, it is a pretty nice center mid, but she does lack that nice reflex that most center mids have, so she will be crushed reflex-wise very often. She might not die, but the reflex wars will not be in her favor. Then this is where one will normally use a Shu. So again, Shu is the newest Andor legend. He's kind of broken in my eyes. Increased attack power, penetration power, reduced damage, accumulates 2 times, increased attack power, increased reflex. Come on, 75% combined with Victoria's 50%. That is insane from the buffs of just 2 players. Increased speed and attack power of allies within the position of a pass. So if for any reason he's highly damaged, he's going to be buffing the beep out of everyone else in the line. His one weakness is the fact that if he is taken out, he loses all his buffs. So you want to be very careful that he has survival, and that's why we're going to be talking a little bit differently about the backline. Now, if you don't have him, what seems to be the next most popular option has always been Rowena. She does have a really nice self buff, crit rate buff. She is going to decrease the defense of enemy within position, increase the damage that they receive. Again, works really well if you're trying to run the Andor critical damage stones. Increase attack power, decrease incoming damage with a penetration. I do want to point out that this will also activate if she penetrates and makes a pass to the front line. So this plus an Elaine active, plus an EMB on one of your players, plus the 2 andor critical damage on your striker will just be completely broken. So this is something that you can use, especially if you're doing it in manual. Will not be as nice if you're doing it in PvP. The one weakness I would say is she doesn't really have a line buff that's reflex based, so there is a pretty decent chance she will be out reflexed. This is why we usually advise using Choi if you have him, and he is the only legend who I would say is really required for the Andor team to shine, because their mid is basically junk. Sorry guys. Now the back is the opposite. The back is really OP. There are 2 great goalkeepers who I would say are maybe in the top 3 of the non-legendary goalkeepers. Now, Jin kind of feels weak lately, so that might be because I'm not seeing some well-stoned ones, and there were some changes in his skills. So, first of all, we have Lucian, who did get a serious stat nerf, but he is really cool just because of this one skill. Recover 15% of life within the position and reduce damage when attacked. The reduced damage is not the important part. This means he's going to heal the entire line and revive the entire line when being shot, allowing you to run a backline with no healer and still have a decent survival. Again, this is going to be paired with some other nice backliners that give some nice DR. Or instead, what you could run is the Andor goalkeeper Angela. They're both really good. There's nothing to go wrong if you're running either one of them. The only difference is if you're running Angela, you're going to want a healer online. And when I'm talking about healer, I'm talking about the new guy who I think his name is Golf. I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing it. He can heal a pretty decent amount. The difference is that she's going to get more DR when her hype is very high. So you want to keep it high, and she's going to heal a percentage of life every time an ally gets attacked. Now, this just doesn't just mean her. That means any other defender. So having someone with a co-op defense there is going to make her even more broken. I mean, in PvE, she could heal 30% on every hit with a co-op defense, and then her DR is going to kick in. So she's also pretty good. Now in backline, who's also great? Whatever you're doing, if you're running Andor, actually if you're running a lot of formation, you're going to throw in a Kevin. That good old left back, sorry, I don't know why they put a W, by the way. He is just great all around. Decrease inflicted damage, decrease the team's action speed on the other side. We start with more action bar, decrease the defense and crit rate within the position. I mean, just 7-star him and he is perfect. There's no reason why you wouldn't have him. He comes with some decent counter chains. I wouldn't say there's a big problem. The only sad part is this is an affection chain, but he's just great. So I would run him whatever goes down in your backline. Now for the other two, this is where it's going to get a little more technical. If you're really running a pure mono Andor, you're going to want to run an Erika just for a single reason, because she's going to increase their max life of all the team, who's basically ace level. She is decent if well built, but she is not OP. Then if you were running her, what you would do is you would throw in a Choi, and you would give him a form of counterattack resistance. You would change his stones to be able to run Fontes Tissue Sample, Dark Penetration or Speed, because he has one of the lowest reflexes in game, and his value is he can heal on attacking. In case you're not running him, you can go all the way down to the new units, and you can start running Galfi. Now, if you don't want to run Galfi, you can also run Death Queen, who's also very important in the backline because she's going to give max hype counterattack resistance. There's going to be decreased damage inflicted from players with the right elements. And there's even going to be in the Andor section, there's also a cool player called Yuri. So if I were to say which ones are the most important, you can use any of those, but I would really insist on at least trying to throw in a Kevin and a Death Queen. Irrelevant of what you're running, they're just going to give you that nice resistance. Now, the best thing is to run a 4-man back, throw in a Yuri, throw in a Galf. That just works well. You can even throw in a Lucian if Angela's your goalkeeper and make them shoot on the Lucian. So that also is going to work. Now, if you were to run the Legend Shoe, you would put him center back at the place of Galf, and you would have Yuri also giving him even more counterattack resistance. So how exactly would the full team sound like? With legends, it's very simple. You're gonna have Renee, Elaine, William. You're gonna have Victoria, Leah, Choi. And backline, you're gonna have something like Kevin, Shu, what's her name again? Yuri, Deaf Queen, and goalkeeper Angela or Lucian. And if you're running no legends, it's usually gonna be something like Renee, Elaine, Shar, Victoria, Leah, Rowena, and backline is going to be something like Kevin, Yuri, Galf, Deaf Queen, and goalkeeper Angela. Lucian also works, but when you're running that line, Angela kind of works better. Again, there's a bunch of other options. Front and back, they got some really cool player. They just really lack good mid players. So again, if you have any questions, comment right in the description of the video. I take requests. I'm going to be doing a few more videos today, so stay tuned. Have a good day, guys.